Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the Master Grade Justice Gundam, and as you can see here, I did put a couple of stickers on there. This kit does come with a whole bunch of these sticker markings. I just threw a couple on there just so you guys could get the idea of that. I wasn't really going to go through the trouble of putting all of these on because then I have to go through the trouble of taking all of them directly off again, because I will eventually be painting the kit. To be honest, it's not very high in my painting queue, but I will be painting it eventually someday. I'll probably make a few modifications to it, as I have done to the Freedom 2.0 as well. So this is a very cool kit. If you've built the Freedom 2.0, then it's different from that, definitely. I mean, I built the Freedom 2.0 last year, but maybe it's just because the time has passed, but I didn't really feel like I was building the same kit over again. I mean, you are building mostly the same inner frame, but I mean, it feels like a totally different kit just because it's so much different. I mean, there's most of that same inner frame in there, but everything on the outside is different for the most part. So, very fun, enjoyable build. I'm not really too big into the colors, nothing against pink, but I just think that I really like the design of this Gundam. I should just say that. The shoulders are a little bit much for me. These big guys sticking out off to the side there, I'll probably cut those down or take those off eventually. That's probably one of the things that I'll do to change this design. I'll just remove those off the shoulder. But I love the head, love that really tall crest for like the big camera thing on the top of its head. I suppose that's just a camera, but I don't know if it's some sort of like improved camera or something. I don't know, like in canon, what actual purpose that serves. But anyway, really cool design. I really like the backpack as well. The accessories are fine. The beam rifle and the shield are pretty much exactly the same as the Freedom, so that's a little bit boring, I suppose, but if you liked the Freedom, then you should like this kit. Also sharing the same inner frame as the Providence, but the Providence as well on the outside is such a different kit. It really doesn't feel like you're building the same kit for a second or a third time if you're building all of these, and I think they probably look really good together. But considering I have already made a couple of changes to the Freedom 2.0 and the Providence Master Grade kits, I'm not really going to show them to you in this review as a comparison with this kit. I mean, you know what those kits look like. So anyway, let's get on with the articulation. The articulation as well is going to be pretty much exactly the same as with those kits. Like I said, it is using mostly the same inner frame, but we'll point out a few things here. The eyes and the small green camera there and the blue camera here for this big tall thing all have some foil stickers on them. Those are the few foil stickers we have for this kit. One here on the back that also kind of wraps around there, so you can see it's underneath there and kind of wraps around to the back. So that is it for the foil stickers on there. There's one more on the lens for the beam rifle there. Other than that, that's it. We do also have a few dry transfer decals. So aside from this big decal sheet, you do have the dry transfer decals as well. You can use those for the articulation. So the head will go really only up to about there. I don't know if we can, yeah, get it. No, that's really about it. Just the head mold in general, I really like this. That gray poking out through like on the cheeks, the gray for the barrels of the Vulcans there in the side of the face. Just the part separation there is all looking really nice. There goes one of those. With this being based on the Freedom 2.0, this is basically a 2.0 kit, but just pretending like there was never a 1.0 of the kit. So basically anything that you would expect from a 2.0 Master Grade, as nice as they all are, is all here. So here in the stomach we'll have a little bit of bend there forward, back, like that, very nice, side to side, pretty good. The cockpit hatch does open, we can slide that down like that, and there is a seated Athranzala pilot figure inside there, molded in white. Very easy cockpit hatch to open. I like that. Nice part separation here in the front as well. We have the pink here, the white parts wrapping around the gray for the gun barrels there in the chest as well, poking out. Love all that. Here in the shoulder, we have the movement up and down at the kind of the body of the shoulder there. The shoulder itself, the shoulder armor itself, will move up on its own as well, and then we're kind of crashing into the side of the V-fin. The arm can then come up to really only about there though. Unfortunately not, it's getting a little bit of hindrance there, but then we can rotate the arm, bend that up to something like that. The elbow joint does have a little bit more bend to it because you can pull that arm off. You remember from the Freedom 2.0 and the Providence Gundam, that elbow joint does extend out, and then you can get a full 180-degree bend basically out of that elbow joint. The wrist itself is just on a ball joint, but we do have a little bit of bend here at the forearm. You can see that little part there will also bend a bit. Very nice. The hands, we have a bunch of different hand options on the kit right now. I just have these, the hands for the closed fists. It's just swappable fingers, unfortunately. Not really my favorite choice of hands, but I prefer just the whole swappable hands. The thumb itself, just on a ball joint. Here in the torso, there is one more point of articulation. Then we have that forward sliding part. I really love this part of the frame. I don't think it's really particularly all that useful, but it is really cool how that whole side of the torso will slide forward like that. So something that we've seen with the Freedom 2.0 as well, but that is carried over into this kit also. The front skirts will move up very far. You need to pull them down and then lift that up like that. Some nice detail there underneath. However, one thing that I do find a little bit disappointing about this kit is when you're looking at it from the front, the back skirt comes down very far, but when you're looking at it from the front there, you're seeing this kind of unsightly thing. I wish that they had the frame, kind of a gray part for inside the back skirt coming all the way down to filling in this space here, because when you're just looking at the front, if you're not going to be painting the kit and not like filling that in with anything, just looking at it from the front, you're just seeing that part there and it doesn't really look that attractive. It just looks like a piece of like the back of a piece of plastic, really. So that's a little bit unfortunate. The side skirts here, really cool gimmick in how this part opens up for the beam saber handle. That just opens like that. I don't know why that's so cool, but it's so simple. I think sometimes Bandai overcomplicates things, and I like the fact that that's just really simple, just opens like that and works really well. You can take out the beam saber handle that's there. You can attach, of course, the two beam saber handles. You can attach them together to make a double-ended beam saber. This little fin on here doesn't move because that's just all part of that. So that's, this whole side skirt is basically just the two pieces, just the one main piece and then the little door piece that moves up and down. Just looking back around to the back skirt here for a minute, we do have the model number there, the ZGMFX09A. They're printed on the back. I'm not really too into that, to be honest. It's a very ignorable thing just because it's here on the back skirt and you're probably never going to see that. But I'm not really into that. I hope they don't really carry that over into too many Mobile Suit Master Grade kits in the future. The hip joint will move down like that, which is very nice, I guess. That will just give you a little bit more articulation. You do have to be a little bit careful with that. The leg will come up nice and far. I think we move that and then kind of rotate things around. The leg can come up really far. Nice double joint here in the knee, and you're getting that sliding armor there at the thigh, but unfortunately the knee doesn't separate at all, so the knee armor doesn't move up separately. I can forgive that, I think, basically just because I love the shape of this knee so much. I really love how shapely these legs are. They're just really nice to look at, and especially... Sorry about that. Especially all this detail here on the back. We do have this little thruster that will move up and down here, kind of like the Freedom had a little bit of movement on the back of its leg as well. And then that's pretty much it for the leg. Down here at the ankle will move side to side. Not really all that much, but I think it's going to be enough. This front ankle armor will move a little bit, but again, not really too much room for that to move anywhere. The foot can be pointed down, and then here underneath we have the little peg that will fold out. That will fold out with a proper tool. That peg will fold out. There we go. It's very tight. So that's what we're going to use to plug this onto the backpack later when it's riding the backpack. But yeah, one thing that I mentioned in the unboxing video was that dark plastic, well, it did seem to be a little bit more shiny than the rest of the plastic. So I think that you can definitely see it here, like here on the ankle guards, and then here in the torso is pretty much the only place where we have that. But it does have a really shiny look to it, which I think will be pretty nice if you're not going to be painting the kit. So as I mentioned, the kit does come with a bunch of different hand options. We have fingers for just open hands, which don't really look that great, to be honest. They're kind of not very good. Then we have hands for just holding hands, trigger finger hands for holding the beam rifle, for holding the beam sabers, and everything that you could want to do, and then like a trigger fingers as well. So all of that, the hands are all covered there. We do also have our tiny 1/100 scale Athranzala figure here, molded in white, so you can paint that up or just paneling that up, at least to bring out the details. Will help make that look really nice. We do have our different action-based connectors here. This one is for connecting this underneath the Fatum backpack, if you're going to have that flying on its own, or if you're going to have the mobile suit flying on top of that. We'll get to that here in a bit. And then this one is for putting just the Gundam onto an action base. So you can plug this here. If you're not having the backpack connected, you can plug that onto there, onto the back, and then plug this onto an action base like that for just having the mobile suit flying by itself. Kind of interesting that it doesn't come, or I mean that it includes a different action base from just the standard one that just plugs up underneath the crotch. For the beam sabers, we have these two clear pink beam saber effect parts, which look pretty normal, but they're actually really super long. So if you stand these here next to the Gundam, you can see they're coming up to the head of the Gundam there. If you're not counting the shoulders, they're almost as tall as the Gundam itself, so these are really long. We have two of these beam saber effect parts for the beam boomerangs on the shoulders, if you want to use those. These are nice, they're very sharp, so be careful with that, but it's a pretty nice shape and design to those. We have the beam rifle, which again is exactly the same as the Freedom 2.0. Handle will fold down like that on the front, and you can move that side to side. Connecting this into the hand is a little bit tricky. You kind of have to pull this part apart mid there, make like a separation there, connect the hand and then close that back up, then connect it back onto the hand. But it does work pretty well. When you're not in use, you can attach this onto the back skirt with this little peg here on the side of that. That can plug there onto the back skirt like so. The shield as well, exactly the same as with the Freedom 2.0, but just molded in different colors here obviously for the Justice Gundam. We have the handle that will rotate out. If you want to use that, you don't have to use that, because you can just use this attachment here to attach it onto the back of the arm, and then you can have it just there on its own, and then your hand is still free to be able to be holding a beam saber or whatever. And then we have, of course, the best accessory that this kit comes with, and that is the Action Base 13. I love this action base. It is the best action base that Bandai makes. It's molded in black. I kind of would prefer gray, but if you're going to be painting it, it kind of really doesn't matter. But anyway, I just really like this action base. It works super well, so always great to have that included. And just in case you needed some more, of course, this comes with the Fatum backpack as well. This thing is very large and very cool, really nicely detailed here. This is with the wings deployed, of course. And you can see that nice shiny dark plastic up there underneath. This has a lot of different things that it can do actually. These little guns here, these little turrets do move up and down and can rotate side to side. These little fins can move a little bit side to side. These cannons here on the front can move up and down. This whole section kind of moves, but that's more for the kind of attaching it onto the backpack. We'll talk about that later. This section here, these thrusters on the back can be extended out and then they open up, so that's a kind of system where they move together like that. So when you pull these open, those come out like so. The wings, of course, can be folded down and like that when not in use. The whole thing opens up like that for when you're riding on it, like that, so that it can get even wider. That's very easy. It works really well. When you want to have the Gundam riding on there, you just remove that little panel and you have the two holes there for the feet. Up underneath, we have the system for plugging this onto the back. This will just fold out like so. And you can connect this in two ways. If you want to have this onto the backpack like this, when it's kind of not in its flight mode, you just connect it like that. When you want to have it more in its flying position, how I prefer it actually, then you connect it like that. And you'll notice this here on the bottom, that's where you can connect the action base. So you can connect the action base directly onto that. You don't need to use an adapter. That's always nice. And then our backpack is nice and secure up on the action base. But let's get it attached onto the Gundam. Now with everything going on with this kit, it basically has pretty standard weapons: beam rifle, shield, beam saber. I guess the beam boomerang, something kind of special, but that's kind of small. So I figured that's probably something that's a lot of people aren't really going to consider too much. But it is a kind of cool thing. It's a unique weapon, and I actually got to give the kit credit. I didn't know how well it was going to be able to hold the beam boomerang, because it doesn't really have a handle. It's just kind of very oddly shaped. But you do get some special some finger options that are especially made for holding that, and they do work quite well actually. So gotta give the kit credit for that. But with a huge backpack and everything as well, which I think is like kind of one of the main points of this kit, is that huge backpack. But anyway, with all of that stuff going on, I feel like when you're thinking about buying this kit, considering the beam sabers is probably not going to be one of the first things that you think of. But I have to admit how impressive that is when you have the beam sabers, which are, like I said, they're longer than usual, and then especially when you have the two of them plugged together. and it's just an extremely long double-ended beam saber there, and if that's the kind of weapon that you're into, that's definitely a pretty impressive point of this kit. And like I said, this is, I wanted to show the backpack to you guys here first in just kind of the prone standard boring position with it just kind of just straight on the back like that. This is actually probably my least favorite way to display the backpack. It's just not very interesting. It's just like kind of this big huge thing on the back, and it's like, hey, that looks really cool, but it's not really doing anything there. So anyway, but yeah, I think if you're doing this in like a different pose with the backpack looking a little bit more exciting, and then with that huge double-ended beam saber, it would be looking pretty impressive. Alright, so I gotta say, as much as I think it is cool that this thing can ride on its jet plane backpack, and that's definitely a really unique feature. Off the top of my head at the moment, I can't think of any other Gundam that does that. I'm sure there probably is, but I can't think of any other kit that does it, at least not as well as this one does. This one does it really well. The only problem that I have with this is that you don't really get enough of a forward bend at the ankles, and that means, I think you should be able to bend the knees forward more, and you need that forward ankle bend, and because of that large dark ankle armor piece there in the front, it kind of gets in the way of you being able to do that, and that I think makes it look a little bit unnatural the way that it's standing. Not unnatural, but it just makes it look kind of derpy, not like you would want like a big badass fighting robot to stand. It just kind of looks like it's just kind of standing there. But if you're flying on top of this big huge jetpack thing, you're going to be like sort of like crunched down a little bit, but it can't really stand like that. So I'm kind of trying to fake it as much as I can, and I even have it like on the action base at an angle, which is kind of like just barely balancing there, but it is holding. The action base connector, as you can see, is strong enough to hold it at a side angle like that, but it definitely is heavy. It definitely is weighing on the action base a bit, so I'm not sure if I would trust it like this permanently. But as far as the test goes, it looks fine. I do also think just the mobile suit does look a little bit strange just without that big backpack. I think with like the proportions of like the big pointy knees, the big pointy shoulders, the big pointy head, and then like kind of nothing on the back, it does look a little bit odd. It looks a little bit naked and bare, I think, without that big backpack on its back. So basically what I'm trying to say is that as much as I think this is really cool, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of you guys who are wanting to pose it in this pose, personally it's not really for me. Alright, so this has to be my personal favorite configuration for the backpack. It still looks like it's a huge jet, and it still looks like it's a backpack on the back of a mobile suit. So I like that. Even in just the standing position, I like this. You are able to get it to stand in this position. You just have to kind of just have it standing down on the action base there, and you can kind of use the back action base to prop up the backpack. It's possible, but anyway, that's probably what I'll do with mine eventually. One thing that is a little bit hard about having an action base that connects onto the backpack rather than on the rather than underneath the skirt like normal, is that because when you want to do like a pose where you want to have the kit in like an extreme like stomach crunch position, like how I wanted to have this, when you have that action base underneath the crotch, then you're able to have the mobile suit crunching forward over that. But when you have the connection point behind that, then you have to fake it by bringing the legs forward. I'm not sure if you guys get what I mean, but if for doing poses like this, it's a little bit more trickier to do with that sort of action-based connection. That being said, this of course is a really fantastic kit. I think you're really getting a lot in this kit, so you're really getting a really good bang for your buck. I think the fact that it includes the mobile suit, which is really nice, that backpack, which is really cool, the action base, which is a very, very helpful accessory to be included with this kit. As far as the decals go, you get a lot of the sticker decals, but if you are not really a big fan of those, if you're planning on painting the kit, then obviously those aren't really going to be of that much use for them. I think most people who paint don't really use those. As far as these dry transfer stickers, dry transfer decals that you get with this kit, you only get a few of them, and water slides would have been nice, but there's really not a whole lot that I could point out as a complaint about this kit. It's overall very, very positive, so if you're a fan of the design, definitely check out this kit. It's a really good master grade. One of the best master grades of the year? I guess so. There's really only been a couple, but I don't think it could really knock the GM Sniper 2 yet, but that is just a personal favorite of mine for the year so far. So thank you guys as always for watching. If you do still have any other questions, comments, leave those down below. I'm sure there is other stuff about the kit that I did forget to mention. There's always something, especially with a master grade like this, where it does have kind of a lot of built-in gimmicks and things like that. So if there's something I forgot, leave that down below, let me know, and that way others can find that there in the comments section as well, or from other reviewers. I'm sure I've probably pointed that out. But anyway, Also guys, can't forget to say a big thank you to USA Gundam Store for supplying me with this kit to share with you guys. Just want to say thanks to all of you guys who have been using their store and have been using that coupon code. That's ZakuAurelius 10. Just put that in as your coupon code and you can save 10% there. I got an email from them saying that a lot of people have been using that coupon, so that's great that you guys are taking advantage of that. Definitely do. Their prices are already really good, I think, as far as what you can get there in America. So, I mean, 10% off that even is pretty good. So definitely check that out. Huge thank you to them. Thank you to you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey! Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store. Use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10. Save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.